Happy Friday morning to you. We are one day before Clemson and LSU kickoff in Death Valley. 7:52 kickoff tomorrow night on ABC. We have the first day, the first night of week one. That was last night, Thursday night. There was a lot of games that went on, some yawners and some interesting games with interesting outcomes. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. First, welcome to the channel. I want to let you know something, that I am actually streaming to two channels at the same time. You're like, what, second channel? Yes, that's right. So I have my Clemson channel here. But if you're watching on the other one, which is a brand new channel of mine called Another College Football Podcast, the link is below, by the way. I'm live streaming there at the same time. There I talk about college football as a whole. I put out predictions for Colorado, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, and Syracuse, kind of broke them down in under 10 minutes. It's kind of crazy. So if you love college football, I hope you'll go over there and subscribe. It's free, so that's the easiest way to support the channel. And if you want to see the channel grow, pass it along to your friends and your buddies, no matter what platform you want to share it on, Facebook, whatever. I hope you'll do that. I do appreciate it. And if you love Clemson football, I hope you'll subscribe as well. This channel is growing. And I'm going to dive into last night. Now, for me, it was really interesting to see some of the scores, some of the games that were played. And let's jump right in. Yesterday at 5:30, Boise State, a team who just came out of the college football playoff. It's interesting. They had a first round bye. I want to say a week one bye. But last year they did something incredible. They made it to the college football playoff. Of course, Ashton Jeanty and that incredible season that he had. But here's the interesting part about all of it. Last night, that Boise State team came into South Florida, a team who has just struggled for a while. They really have. They've struggled. They've struggled for a minute, as the kid say, whatever. And on paper, you have Boise State ranked. They look like they're going to go into South Florida. And with a weird kickoff time of 5:30, you would think that the Broncos are going to do what they do. Folks, it was not that way at all. If you didn't look at the score last night, well, I'm about to tell you the score. South Florida beat Boise State 34-7. Yeah, you're not hearing things. I didn't break up. There's not some something going on with my microphone. I said what I said. Boise State got demolished last night. And I'm going to tell you one of the things that stuck out to me right off the bat is that Boise State could not block at all. At all. I mean, that was like the first thing I noticed. When your quarterback snaps the ball and he's automatically running for his life, like running, scared, he can't even get a pass off good. He can't even get the composure to get his feet set. It's just an automatic snap the ball, scream, and take off running. That's what happened last night. And I was blown away by how bad they looked. I mean, Ashton Jeanty was good, but he wasn't that. And I was talking to my oldest son. He was like, well, Brian, I mean, you gotta think he's, they lost Ashton Jeanty. And I was like, yeah, they did. But they didn't have to be that bad. I mean, that's bad. That's terrible. Now, UCF or USF, sorry, USF. I called you UCF. USF, they're picked to finish, I believe, 4th in their conference, which is a major upgrade from where they've been. Okay, I'm not denying that. But what you saw last night was a good old-fashioned butt beating. And it blew me away. I didn't expect it. Now, I want to tell you straight up, I haven't did a deep dive into Boise State. But Boise State, they're actually picked to win the Mountain West Conference, according to Phil Steele. I'm looking at Phil Steele's book right now. Boise State was picked to finish first in the Mountain West. There's a couple of ways you can look at that. The Mountain West has really fallen off. That's one. Not being a jerk here, just saying they've really fallen off and it doesn't matter. Or South Florida is actually that much improved. I mean, I was crazy, y'all. I mean, that was absolutely crazy what we saw last night. And, I mean, listen, I'm going to look at Phil Steele's book and just see how many starters they supposedly have coming back. Because I didn't do that before the game. Before I got on here, I was just like, you know what? I'll do this live. According to Phil Steele, it shows that they returned 7 on both sides of the football. But as I'm looking at the receiving core, they returned 2 of their top 3 receivers. 4, 5. Out of their top 5 receivers, they lost their top receiver, and they lost 3 out of the top 5. Of course, they lost Ashton Jeanty. Maddox Madsen, a quarterback from last year, threw for over 3,000 yards. He's back. Their top tackler is back. Their top 4 tacklers are back. But they did lose a noticeable amount on defense. So that happened the way it did. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, we beat you. South Florida beat the scum out of them. So, I mean, they were supposed to have an improved secondary. I didn't look like it last night. And what about that fake? What about that fake punt? If you didn't see it, you need to go see that. The fake punt. Of course, you have a gunner going down the sideline, as you're supposed to. That's the Christian way of punting the football. I'm being silly there. But as soon as the gunner took off downfield, guess what? The punter, instead of punting, he pulls up and throws a dart down the sideline. That was not some short little pass. No, he threw a dart down the sideline. And not only did the receiver catch it and get the first down, the guy broke a tackle or 2 and went in for a touchdown. I'm telling you, that was a good old-fashioned butt whipping last night. And it was just ridiculous. Real quick, I'm going to get into the comments section here. It's good to see everybody in here. We got Will Man, love from Florida. This feels like 2018. Good to see you, Will Man. We got Coastal 79. What's up, Beat? Spot the ball. I agree with you. NKZ, what's up? We got Roger Parks, my old buddy. Good to see you, man. Good to see you in here. Got Chase Brill, the man. I hope you're talking about yourself, not me. I bet 3 MAC teams all on a parlay. They all beat the spread. Congrats. I hope you were going to be at the Troy game. I know I will be. Oh, man. Let's see what else. South Florida looked good. They had a lot of transfers. The quarterback will get picked in that widescreen in the next 2 games. Okay. That's not a bad thought. Hey, listen, everybody, I don't know if you're paying attention to what I said just a second ago. If you just joined me, I am streaming on both of my channels. So I have this Clemson channel and I have another college football podcast. Somebody just made a comment and my squirrel brain went, oh. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. I admit it. I admit it. But my point here is if you love talking college football, you want to hear my thoughts on college football as a whole, I have another college football podcast that I am live streaming to right now, and the link is below. The link is below right now for another college football podcast. So I'm asking you, this is a brand new channel for me. This channel has done well, considering that having channels now is very different than what it was. If you started 12 years ago, started covering college football 12 or 13 years ago, it was totally different. Now there's so much competition that, hey, you could say, hey, you got to be really good. I know a lot of guys out there that are unbelievable, and people still don't know about them compared to some big names that I could start naming out right now. So if you want to see that channel grow, I hope you'll go over there and subscribe and pass along to your friends who love college football, and continue to pass this channel along. I'd love to see 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Right now, I'm over 7,600 or something like that. Getting close to 7,700, somewhere in there. So I do appreciate it. Let's talk about college football. Who cares about my channel? I don't mean that bad, but another big game that went on last night in Arrowhead Stadium, Nebraska and Cincinnati. Now I say big game. Transparently, I think after watching South Florida last night, I think South Florida could beat either one of these two teams. But the interesting thing for me, and I'm being serious here. The interesting thing for me is every time that I see Nebraska, I think about the 90s version of Nebraska. And then sitting and watching Nebraska play. And I've had a long time to get used to this, by the way. It's nothing like that. I'm not even talking about play calling option versus, throwing the ball and all this bunch of stuff. Raiola, I think it's Raiola. Dylan Raiola, the guy can play. He does have the ability, but he still needs more weapons. I'd be interested to see how he would do maybe in a better offense with better personnel. On the other side, with Cincinnati, you have Satterfield, a guy that was at Appalachian State, went to Louisville, then he took the job at Cincy. That really doesn't sit well with me. And I don't mean that like I'm angry at anyone. I'm just saying it really doesn't sit well with me. There's something weird about it. Sorry. It's something odd. It's almost like Satterfield he was a rising star in college football. And then it's just kind of like he went off into the distance, or out in the distant darkness, and he's just kind of out there. But Nebraska beat them 20-17 last night. It's a close win. It could have went any way. Dylan Raiola threw for 243 yards. Sorbsby, quarterback for Cincy, threw for 69 yards. He rushed for 96. So you're sitting here looking at this game, and I'm looking at the stats. I'm going to give you the stats, and I want you to tell me how the game was won by Nebraska. Nebraska had 356 total yards to Cincy's 271. Nebraska had 23 first downs. Cincy had 16. Nebraska was penalized 3 times for 27 yards. Cincy 4 for 20. Yeah. Yep. There's that. Let's dive into a few other stats. Nebraska was 10 of 18 for third down. Cincy was 3 of 10 on third down. Cincy was actually 2 of 2 on fourth down. Nebraska was 1 of 2 on fourth down. Time of possession, Nebraska had the ball almost double the time that Cincinnati had the ball. They had the ball for 39 minutes, 30 seconds. Cincinnati had it for 20 minutes and 30 seconds. But so everything you're seeing Nebraska with this massive, just like if we were adding all the things onto a scale right now. Nebraska's like, boom. Here's the one that majorly tips it. And it's already stacked against Cincy. 2 turnovers by Cincinnati. So you read that and you're like, oh, they definitely lost by like 20 or 30 points. Nope. No, they didn't. They lost by 3. So on one hand, you're looking at Nebraska going, hey, you know, you guys had the ball, you dominated them there, all that bunch of good crap. But there's a part of you that's looking at Nebraska going, you had all of that in your favor. 85 more yards, 7 more first downs. Your percentage of converting third downs was unbelievable. They had 2 turnovers. You took care of the football, never turned it over. You had the ball almost double the time they did, and you only won by 3 points. What's up, man? I mean, I'm not being a jerk here. I'm just saying, what's up? And I'll tell you this, that offense, the offensive play calling overall for Cincinnati was not amazing. I mean, it honestly, it really was not that tough. I was sitting there. In fact, I texted one of my friends last night who was, I believe they were watching the game. And I was just talking about how that play calling, it's almost got lazy. It's almost got lazy. We're starting to call these, okay. The beauty of a screen, whether it's a wide receiver screen or whether it's a halfback screen, a tight end screen, the beauty of it is that you're supposed to catch the defense off guard. Throwing a long pass, you're supposed to catch the defense off guard. Running a delayed handoff, you're supposed to catch the defense off guard. If you're consistently throwing the ball out in space to try to get the one-on-one or try to get your playmaker loose, and you consistently do it, there's no catching it off guard. It's just, there's no catching anyone off guard if you run any style of offense, any style of play over and over and over and over. And this used to work with option teams. Option teams would run it over and over and over until one day someone looked and said, why are we so like intimidated by this? Now, if you had athletes like 95 Nebraska, okay, sure, but not everyone had that. So whether it's Clemson, God forbid Clemson against LSU comes out and they try to run a bunch of trash, or whether it's Cincinnati against Nebraska, all Cincinnati had to do was become a little more creative. And I believe they would have beat Nebraska even with all of those stats in Nebraska's favor. That was a weird game. It seemed odd. If you looked at the stat sheet, I'm telling you, you don't see a 3-point win. You see like a 30. Okay, not 30. That's an overstatement. I'm exaggerating here. Getting here to the comment section. SC Country, good to see you, my man. What's up, Brian? Ready for some college football? Me too, pal. Me too. I was watching a lot of things. Didn't we run the same fake punt years ago with Christian Wilkins catching it against Oklahoma in the first round of the college football playoff? Yes, sir, we did. We sure did. We did it, and it was amazing. I think each and every person in college, I mean, I think a lot of people forgets that moment. But we did. Let's get back to the comment section here. Love your channel. Keep up the amazing work. I appreciate it. Is this cup big enough? If you take it in the car, you'll have to buckle it in. Is that cup big enough? This one? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, if someone attacked me, I could beat them to death. I'm not kidding. I used to have a little Stanley, a little Stanley, um, a little Stanley carry mug. It's kind of long and slender. That one, if someone attacked me, I'm not kidding, especially with just the right amount of coffee in it, and I swung it and it would swing to the end, kind of like a loaded baseball bat. Holy smokes. I pity the man who comes after me. It would be a bad day. I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's go back in here and look at college football, or like a few more things. Scott Frost at UCF did not look good at all. Yeah, you're right. Cindy and Nebraska both, or Cincy, looked common average. Yep. Remember the fake punt at North Carolina in the ACC championship? Yes, I do. I sure do. Let's before I move on, I just want to remind everyone, if you've just joined me here, I am simulcasting on both my channels. So if you go over to Another College Football Podcast, you're going to see the same show right here. I'm doing that on purpose because I want to grow that channel. I'm talking about college football over there. I'm previewing other teams. I'm talking about games of the week, and I'm starting to get in my swing. In fact, both of the videos I uploaded yesterday, each one of them was under 10 minutes. One of them, I think, under 9. So if you want a quick recap of who's playing, when they're playing, why they're playing, who, like Syracuse and Tennessee, that's kind of like, yeah, Tennessee's going to win that ball game. But there's some interesting things going on with Tennessee. Also, Georgia Tech and Colorado, just talked about them yesterday. Big storyline there is that the storyline for Colorado has not only been Deion, it's been Deion, his sons, and Travis Hunter. Well, out of those 4 individuals, only one of them remain. And you can't manufacture that story anywhere. You just can't bring back both your sons out of the pros or whatever's going to go on with them. And I don't mean that bad, or bring back Travis Hunter. That story is done. So that's really interesting. Talked about Brent Key, talked about the game there. So y'all go check that out. In fact, they're playing tonight, 8:00 on ESPN, Georgia Tech and Colorado. Fun fact, Georgia Tech and Colorado has never played one another, but they did split the 1990 national championship. And for some of you younger people in here, remember, my friend, yeah, we used to do that. We used to split national championships. So if you love talking college football, I hope you'll go over there and not only subscribe, which is free, but I hope you'll pass it along to everyone. I have over 7,500 subscribers right now on this channel. So I'm hoping everyone who will watch this will just go over there. In fact, you don't even have to go over there. The link's below. Y'all go check that out. And yeah, let's roll. Let's talk one more time about. Let's talk about the next game. Last night I tuned into East Carolina and NC State. NC State has CJ Bailey, the 6'6" guy who took over against us when Grayson McCall went down in Death Valley. And I hate that for Grayson because, well, his career's over. And when the guy was healthy, he was absolutely unbelievable. He sacrificed his body too much. That was what ended up ending all of that. With that said, it became quite evident to me, and I'm not saying like it started last night, but I looked over at my son and I told him, I said, it's good to see that NC State doesn't put an emphasis on football. And if there's any Wolfpack fans, which by the way, I don't hear from any of them. I hear from fans from all different types of fan bases, including North Carolina. I hear from Florida State fans, Florida fans, definitely Georgia fans. Well, I'm talking about LSU. I'm hearing from them. NC State, I don't hear from them at all. But I'm telling you, if NC State cares about their about being competitive in football, they're fooling me. I mean, they fooled me. I'm sure that if you talk to any of their former coaches, former players, alumni, they're going to sing a different song. They're going to say, of course, but we're standing with Coach Doeren. I think Dave knows that NC State does not care as much as other schools does about football. And in that makes him relax. He's been there forever. And let me tell you right now, Dave Doeren has had some good teams. Dave Doeren has had some good teams. He gave Clemson fits there in the Deshaun Watson years. But I'm going to tell you straight up, those days are gone. Kind of like home phones with the long curly extension cord that you could walk outside with and still be attached in your kitchen. 250, 300 feet away. You're still on the phone. It's not cordless. It's just one of those big stretchy cords. Yes, kids, that's what we used to do. But they don't care. They don't care about football like they used to, because if they did, they have the strangest way of showing it. And I mean that. They have literally the strangest way of showing that they still care about football, because last night, East Carolina, under first full year head coach, Blake Harrell, took over for Mike Houston. Mike Houston's now like an assistant at Clemson. And I am telling you what, that was an embarrassing game. NC State wins 24-17. But East Carolina, again, they fired their coach in the middle of the season last year because things were not going so well. And they just went toe-to-toe with NC State. In Raleigh. I mean, you want to talk about embarrassing. And hey, for me as a Clemson fan, transparently, keep doing it. Just absolutely keep doing that. It makes it easier when we play y'all, so we can focus on other teams. I mean, if you want to do that, go for it. Because that I look at those games and I just scratch my head. The leading passer for the game was Caden Hauser, the quarterback from ECU. Hit 360. He threw for 366 yards on NC State. He did. And NC State jumped ahead early on. They were up like 17-7. And they only scored in the third quarter, 7 points. And in the fourth quarter, East Carolina scored 10 points. And folks, I could care less if that's in the last 5 minutes of the ball game. I just remember the years of Phillip Rivers. I remember the years that you had to respect NC State. Again, those days are gone. I was nuts. 24-17. Let's talk about another team that was interesting last night. UCF and Jacksonville State. That game was delayed for a while. Jacksonville State, they have a new head coach. I believe it's Charles Kelly. The guy used to be the defensive coordinator at Florida State. He was a defensive coordinator for Colorado. And the interesting part about that, he goes in and takes over for Rich Rodriguez, who's now at West Virginia. They're playing UCF. You have Scott Frost. Scott Frost, he took them to high places about 7 or 8 years ago. Then he took over at Nebraska, couldn't revitalize them. That's really sad when you have had success and you go back to your home, the place that you have such incredible memories over, and you can't revive them. Well, last night, it wasn't impressive And the game was 0-0 at halftime. But UCF scores the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter last night. And they win 17-10 over Jacksonville State. A lot of people left from Jacksonville State, from what I remember, to follow Rich Rodriguez. Now, after that, there wasn't a bunch of just incredible games. Rutgers and Ohio played last night. Rutgers won 34-31. I don't think any of y'all lost sleep over that one. Eddie George, yes, former Ohio State running back. He went to Bowling Green. This is his first season. They won last night over Lafayette, 26-10. Opening kickoff was returned for a touchdown. That's a way to kick off your career in a game, in a very first game. UL Monroe, 29-0 over St. Francis. No one's worried about that. Wyoming beat Akron 10-0. There for a little bit, Missouri was struggling with Central Arkansas, but they turned around and won the game 61-6. I don't think anyone's dancing in the street on that one. Minnesota beat Buffalo 23-10. I'm just not blown away by Minnesota's performance over the past few years. What's really funny was I made that statement on here, and someone out of nowhere, it was a Minnesota fan, just gave me, I mean, it was like I'd walked up and punched their kid in the face. They started taking up for Fleck, and I'm sitting there going, man, I didn't know you loved him that much. I didn't know that y'all had that relationship. You know, I could tell that I offended them. And so I was interested to see as well. Houston, 27-0 over Stephen F. Austin. There's a lot of trash games last night. Wisconsin beat Miami of Ohio 17-0. San Diego State beats Stony Brook 42-0. The game I held off on, 27, by the way, Oklahoma State 27-7 over UT Martin. Oklahoma State, they haven't been right since 2020. I mean, they haven't. They haven't been right, to my memory serves me correct, since 2020. Something happened during that time. I think Gundy. I don't know. I don't know. Let's talk. Here's the final game. I held off on this on purpose. Maybe you started scrolling through the scores last night and you saw the final, but you didn't see the game. You didn't see the game or notice the progression of it. Duke and Elon played last night. This is Manny Diaz's second season. This is Malik Murphy transferred out. Darian Mensah, the guy out of Tulane, he transfers in. I want to say they have that Cooper Barkate. If you know nothing about Cooper Barkate, this guy is a wide receiver out of Harvard. From what I understand, he had some pretty good numbers at Harvard. I could go dive into his bio right here, but I'm going to save you the time. He had some really good numbers. Last night, he was a leading receiver in the game, 5 receptions, 117 yards. But you see Duke beats Elon 45-17. Yes, Elon, little old Elon. No, I'm not talking about Musk. I'm talking about the school. Elon. At halftime, it was 10-10. It's the first game, Brian. New quarterback, blah, 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 blah. And maybe so. But I just don't see Duke. We still have memories of Duke from 2 years ago when they beat the crap out of Clemson on a Monday night. I was a different coach. And while Diaz is not a bad defensive coordinator, I just don't see him as being a premier head coach. And defensively, he's given up a lot of yardage in some big games. And I want to say that that's why Mac Brown had to fire him at Texas. Could be wrong. That was a long time ago. People change. People learn. Hope they do. Hope I do. Don't want to be a hypocrite here. But Duke they look like the team that will go out, struggle a little bit with Elon, and then beat them. And then they're going to go into conference play, and it's probably not going to turn out too well for them according to their schedule. Now, I'm looking at their schedule. They just played at Elon. They're going to play Illinois. Illinois, a little overrated right now, but they had a good season last year. They have to play Georgia Tech. They have to play Clemson. But overall, Duke may be able to fly under the radar and seem like they're a really good football team because they have to play at Tulane, NC State, that was unimpressive, Syracuse, who's lost a lot of people, California, need I say more? You have UConn, they're always questionable, Virginia, Tony's a good guy, but it just doesn't look good up there. North Carolina, we know more about Bill Belichick's personal life than we do about his team, save Gio Lopez. And then you have Wake Forest, they're Wake Forest and they have a new head coach. So there is a chance that Duke could actually come out and win 7 or 8 games and look decent. The games to pay attention to is how they do against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, they play tonight. They have Haynes King and Jamal Haynes back. Guys like them can come into a game like Duke and dominate them. Syracuse, Fran Brown can coach, but he's got a massive rebuild on his hands. He lost basically everybody, especially on the offense. Kyle McCord, almost 4,800 yards gone. LaQuint Allen, over 1,000-yard rusher gone. Top 3 wide receivers, Meeks, Pensa, and Gadsden gone. Most of the offensive line gone. I think 7 out of their top 10 tacklers gone, including their leading tackler. I mean, that's going to be a problem for Syracuse. So Duke might actually look decent against them. They may look decent against California. How are they going to look against Clemson and Georgia Tech and possibly Illinois? Other than that, I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be buying right now with them. Well, folks, I am going to call it. I put out my preview for the Clemson LSU game. I've really made some LSU fans very happy, though I was very fair to them. I gave them reasons that Clemson could lose the game and some things that I'm holding my breath on. Yes, it's the offensive play calling. But with certain fan bases, no matter how much you try to stay realistic, how much you try to even the criticism, when you get to college football, and I'm not saying all LSU fans, some of them are fantastic. Some of them have come on here and say, hey, man, look, I'm a big LSU fan. Hope we beat you. But I have some really major concerns about what's going on and how everything's going to go down. And I'm just telling you, dude, I feel you here. I feel you here. And I'm just going to tell you, a lot of the LSU fans, they have not learned their lesson from all the years they've had a ton of talent, guys who could bench press a tank, and then somehow they still lose football games that they shouldn't lose or be competitive in football games. Like last year, they lost to Alabama 42-13. First-year head coach, different culture, different mindset. They're just still so engrossed that they have a tight end that's 6'7" and runs a 4.40 40. I mean, that's good and stuff. LSU has had that for many years. They've had players like that for many years. And in 2019, they had one of the best teams probably have played in college football history. But within 48 hours, if not 28 or 24 hours of that team winning the national championship, it didn't exist anymore. I'm talking about coaching staff, the important pieces. Joe Brady was gone to the Panthers. Of course, the roster, I'm pretty sure Dave Aranda took the job at Baylor. So it didn't sustain. I mean, say what you will about Dabo Swinney. He got 2 in 3 years with 2 different quarterbacks. But LSU fans, for the most part, they will not learn their lesson that a bunch of talent, 2 or 3 guys, doesn't overshadow questionable coaching decisions and preparation. But I criticized our Tigers in things that they needed to be critiqued on. I didn't come out there with a sock filled full of bars of soap and started swinging at everybody. No, I just told the flipping truth. Remember, you don't tell the truth. You lie. Lying is good if it makes people feel better. And when I'm talking about college football, especially, which is not important, by the way. I love college football. I have 2 flipping channels here talking about college football. And even I will tell you, it's not important. So especially if it's unimportant, why are we just so sensitive about it? LSU has a problem with wasting talent. And they may get Clemson this Saturday night, but I still won't be on the LSU train. I'll go ahead and tell you that. They'll have to, they've proven before that they can totally waste talent. So we will see. Folks, go over to the other channel. The link's below right now. The link is below for another college football podcast. I hope you'll pass it along, help the channel grow. It's brand new. And I hope you'll subscribe. It's free. Next up, if you haven't subscribed here, I hope you'll subscribe. All of this is free. Hope you'll pass it along. Excuse me. Pass it along to anyone who loves college football. That would be nice. That'd be refreshing. And then, everyone, I don't want you to forget about my giveaway. The giveaway that I've partnered with 1790 Knife and Tool out of Pendleton, South Carolina, right around the corner from Clemson. And here's the rules. All right. All you need to do is register using the form below and provide some content ideas for me. Now, I'm going to throw this link. I think I put it in the body of this video. If not, I'm going to drop it in the chat. I'm dropping it in the chat right now. So if you're in the live chat, you see that link for 1790 Knife and Tool. Click on that. Go over there. Fill out a form. Give me an idea or two, whatever, for my channel. And if I pick it, I'm going to select a first place, a second place, and a third place prize. You can read who gets what per place, if that makes sense. Just read the rules. If you end up making a purchase over here on 1790 Knife and Tool, use the 5% discount code DABO5 right there. You'll get free shipping and are automatically registered in the August giveaway. The August giveaway is almost over, by the way. There's the knives, officially licensed knives. The Pry Tool is unbelievable. Folks, go in, check that out, and say hello to Bill Mooney and the guys over there at, over at the 1790 Knife and Tool. Folks, y'all take care of yourself. I'll be streaming off and on all day tomorrow. Probably do a stream tomorrow morning talking about the games that are coming up. Tonight we have some big games. Of course, Georgia Tech at Colorado. That'll be a fun one. You got Auburn at Baylor. Auburn, there's so many questions. A lot of people they're wondering if Hugh Freeze will ever get it done. Baylor, on the other hand, Phil still has them picked to win the Big 12. They return a lot of players. You have a weird game, Appalachian State versus Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, where the Panthers play. That'll be an interesting one. So y'all check that out. UNLV at Sam Houston. You're like, why you bring that up? Dan Mullen, in his first game last week, they almost lost to Idaho State. And he brought in a bunch of former 5-star and 4-star players that they've made their rounds in college football and almost lost. So Sam Houston's a pretty solid team. We'll see how that, what goes on there. Tomorrow, you kick off the day with Syracuse and Tennessee, 12 o'clock on ABC. That will be a fun one for the kids to watch. Next up, you have, of course, Ohio State and Texas. That will be an interesting game. Alabama, Florida State, Clemson, and LSU tomorrow night at 7:52. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. Of course, on Sunday, Virginia Tech and South Carolina get together in Atlanta at 3 o'clock. You have Notre Dame at Miami, 7:30 on Sunday night. And, of course, one of the weirdest games of all for me, Monday night, yes, Labor Day, TCU at North Carolina in Belichick's debut game. Folks, y'all take care of yourself. And, as always, go Tigers.